Back. Here we are with our Listen and Learn Biblical Hebrew class. We are continuing through the book of Judges. Last week we had a review, but now we're back in Judges chapter 4. And we'll be starting with verse 7. First, I just wish to impart blessings on all of you. May your lekach, may your deep learning be abundant and true. May your hearts be filled with joy and your minds with shalom. And may Adonai give you supernatural memory that you may remember vividly all of our lessons. All right, so let's get started. First, I'll just scan. Now remember, tonight is special awareness about auditory learning. Even though I've colorized the slides for visual learners and for dual visual auditory learners, we will be approaching this as an auditory lesson tonight, which means I won't be drawing on the slides. I won't be showing any further notes other than what you have here. If you're a visual learner and you don't feel you understand too well what we're doing tonight, then that's fine. You can go and do your visual learning. If you're kind of in the middle, then maybe you stick with visual until you feel like you understand what we're talking about. And when we repeat again, or the final time, try not to look. Try to just reach out auditorially, all right? The purpose of this is to expand your understanding of Hebrew into another dimension. All right, so let's go ahead and scan the verse. This is Judges 4, verse 7. It says, Umashachti elecha el nachal Kishon et Sisra sa tzeva Yavin ve'et lichbo ve'et hamono. Pardon me, I should have said lichbo ve'et hamono unetati hu beyadecha. I forgot to do my falsettos there for a bit. Sorry about that. All right, so let's pick it apart. The very first word, the verb is mashach. Mashach. Mem, shin, kaf. Mashach, which literally means to drag along. And it ends in a t. So that reminds us of ani. So mashach, t. So dragged along I. Okay. And the u here is a vav conversive. So umashachti, and I will drag along, like bring along, elecha, unto you. So el, unto, that's a preposition. Cha is a pronoun, you. So umashachti, and will drag I, el, unto, echa, unto you. And I will draw out unto you, just being hyperliteral here, el, unto, and now we have a construct chain, nachal, kishon. Nachal is a wadi, W-A-D-I, a wadi, like a place that sometimes it's a river, sometimes it's dried up. Nachal, kishon. And because this last word is definite, we can say the in front of the other word. So el, the nachal, unto the wadi, kishon. And now, we haven't had the object of the verb yet. The verb is mashach, to draw, to drag. So mashachti, I will drag or I will draw unto you, unto the wadi kishon. Who's going to be dragged? Well, whom, rather. Et tells us the definite direct object marker. Sisra, samach yod, samach resh aleph. And I didn't spell out wadi before. If you're just listening, wadi is nun chet lamed. Nun chet lamed nachal. So umashachti, and I will draw out elecha unto you, el unto nachal kishon, the wadi kishon. Now we see what's the object of mashach? Et Sisra, that guy, Sisra. And now we'll get some details about him. He is the Sar Tzeva Yavin. that is all one construct chain. And if you're visual, notice we have two different ways that we mark the construct. One is kind of the blue highlighted box, but I never use that for a word that's in the absolute at the end of a chain. And then to encompass a chain, sometimes I'll use an aqua set, like I've done with nachal קישון, or sar, tzeva, yavin. So yavin is, if you're visual, it's gray. That's a name. And since it's a name, we can put the in front of the other words in the chain. I'm not going to write that on the screen because I'm not trying to encourage overly watching. The sar of the tzeva of Yavin. So the sar is like the prince, in this case probably the general of, and then the tzava is army of Yavin. So literally the prince of the army of Yavin, so the general of Yavin's army. And that is who is going to be drawn out by God unto Nachal Kishon. Continuing. Ve'et richbo. Ve'et, so and et we don't translate. This is also what is being mashach. We actually have three objects of mashach. We have et sisra, sar tzeva yavin, and we also have et richbo, and another one coming up after this. So the word is rechev, reish kaf beit, which is a chariot. The chariot of that's the pronoun meaning him or he. The chariot of he. So his chariot is richbo. Richbo. Chariot of Ve'et and hamono. Hamon. Hamon is a crowd or multitude. Now, Hamon can have some other meanings too, like turmoil, tumult, like the basically chaos of an action. But because of Hebrew parallelism, we can understand here we're dealing with military concepts, right? We've got the Sar, that's the general of the tzava, of the army. And we have his rechev, his chariot. So this we would expect to be some military nuance as well, Hamon. So you could be hyper literal like I was, and I said his crowd, right? I think that's ochlos in Greek probably. I'm not sure in this particular case how they translate Judges, but in many cases it'll be ochlos, like crowd, or his multitude. This is the same word which is used in justifying the name improvement of Avraham. When he's Avram and he becomes Avraham, because he is Av, father of Hamon, of a multitude, right? So the hay from the Hamon, presumably. So in this case, it's got to be like the foot soldiers, right? The enlisted men. So mashach ti, and will draw out I, Elecha, unto you, unto Nachal Kishon, the Nachal, the wadi of Kishon, or the Kishon wadi, et Sisra, that's his name, Sar Tzeva Yavin, the Sar of the Tzava of Yavin. So the general of the army of Yavin. Ve'et and Richb. The Rechev of his chariot. Ve'et Hamono, and the crowd of or his troops rather. And finishing up verse 7, Unetati hu. So the verb here is natan. Natan, that's why there's a dagesh in the tav. So natan ti. So that means gave I. Hu. That's him. Natan ti hu, which became natat ti hu. So gave I him. But the u at the beginning is a vav conversive. The reason it's an u instead of a vav with a schwa, the same rule as at the very first word, umashachti. It's our bump schwa rule. So on the very first word, the mem reminds us of the M sound in bump. And so the U is from bump. Well, that's the U. Down in unatati, hu. In this case, it's the schwa from bump schwa. Because the first letter starts with a schwa, we activate the U from vav. Instead of vav with a schwa, we say U. So in this case, it's vav conversive. If you're a visual learner, that's why it's glowing, kind of a bigger neon green. So instead of netati, who gave I him, it's and I will give him. That vav changing the aspect. Beyadecha. Be. I'm sorry, I don't know why that's red. I thought I made it orange. I'm going to fix this. Fixed. It's a preposition. That's why it should be orange. If you're just doing auditory learning, then you didn't know there was a mistake there. So beyadecha. Be. Into. The yad, the hand or the power of ha, of you. So into your hand. Into your hand. All right, let's go through it again. And this time, try to come up with the answers before I can if you can. If you can't, that's all right. Just do your best. Umashachti. And dragged I, or draw I, and I will draw Elecha, unto you. El, unto. Nachal Kishon. So that's the Nachal, Nun, Chet Lamed. The Wadi Kishon. Et Sisra. That's who's going to get drawn. Sar Tzeva Yavin. The Sar, the general, literally the prince, of the Tzava, the army of Yavin. Ve'et Lichbo, and the Rechev of and his chariot. Ve'et Hamono, and the crowd of him, or the multitude of him. Not the tumult. The tumult won't work here in this context. So, and his foot soldiers, and his mass of soldiers. Onetatihu, and will give I him. Beyadecha, into the hand of you. Okay, one more time. This time just do your best. I'm not going to translate. Omashachti Elecha El Nachal Kishon Et Sisra Sar Tzeva Yavin Ve'et Richbo Ve'et Hamono Onetatihu Beyadecha. Again with tones. Umashachti Elecha El Nachal Kishon Et Sisra Sar Tzeva Yavin Ve'et Richbo Ve'et Hamono Onetatihu Beyadecha. How'd you do? You guys do all right? We're going to go through it again. If you're a visual learner and you've been watching, try to close your eyes this time, or if you're driving or something, just don't look at the text, and see if you can follow along and understand. Omashachti Elecha. Omashachti Elecha. El. That's Aleph Lamed. El. Nachal Kishon. Et Sisra. Sar Tzeva Yavin. Ve'et Richbo. Or Ve'et Richbo. Ve'et Hamano. Onetatihu. Onetatihu. Beyadecha. בידך. Last time through, no laser marker or anything, just the text. ומשכתי אליך אל נחל קישון, את סיסרא שר צבא יבין, ואת רכבו ואת המנו, ונתתיהו בידך. Okay, that's the end of this lesson. Stick with us if you're in the premiere. The next one's going to come following up in 1 minute. Shalom, shalom.